We travel hundreds of miles just to run ourselves into the ground and somehow call it fun. This week, we went to Eugene, Oregon, TrackTown USA, where American running history lives. And I got to show Jarett why runners worship a guy named Steve Prefontaine, a runner who didn't just race fast. He fought to make sure athletes weren't broke while companies made millions off them. And while we were there, I got my own running analyzed, learning that sometimes running smarter matters more than running harder. So today, we're asking, who really wins in running? The companies, the pros, or just the crazy people like us chasing finish lines? Cue that intro music.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy the lie.
Welcome back to the Ostrich Running Podcast. I'm your host, Nick Mraz, and look at who's with me, Jarett the Juice Horton. How are you doing, Jarett?
I'm doing great, Nick.
We're fresh back from Eugene, Oregon. What a trip. You survived. You got to travel with me yet again. The beautiful thing is I am on a mission to take Jarett the Juice to as many locations
that I would
as
never
he can
go
visit that are on a list that he never created himself. He wants to go to Japan. He wants to go to the Bahamas. He wants to go to France and Europe and all these really nice places, right? But I'm going to take him to Springfield, Idaho, Springfield, Oregon, all the Springfields, because you know what? This is where running lives. Jarett,
Springfield, Illinois?
Yeah, we can do, well, have you been there already?
I think I have. Maybe. No, probably not.
Perfect. We'll go again. Springfield, Illinois. Is The Simpsons off Springfield, Oregon or Springfield, Illinois? That's a question.
I don't know. That is a great question.
Well, I think I know the answer to that from what this isn't even a Simpsons episode, but I think Matt Groening has hinted that it is Springfield, Oregon.
Let's find out. Let's see if Nick.
We are going to find out. Well, while we do that, right, let's talk about our trip to Eugene, Oregon.
Nick is right. Right.
Wow. TrackTown USA. What was your initial thoughts? I mean, first off, what was your expectations? Well,
to be honest,
we're going to have to rewind it because your expectations are probably on a whole nother level when you have to travel with me in any way. So what was going through your mind when I said, hey, we're going to Eugene, Oregon?
Sometimes when you say those things, I think it's not really going to happen. Like, I'm just like, okay, just tell Nick yes, it's 3 months ahead of time. Because Nick likes to plan things out. In his life, he has to. So sometimes he'll say things and I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds fun. I don't even think about where we're going. Like, all I heard was Oregon. Oh, Oregon's kind of close to California. Sure, sounds like fun. And traveling with Nick is a really good time, actually. So, I don't know. I didn't think very much of it until like 2 weeks before, and you're like, okay, you ready to go? And I'm like,
well, this is happening.
Oh, yeah, this is really going to happen. What are we going here for again? And,
hey, we had a good time. It was a good time. It's always a good time when you travel with me.
It is.
Which is why we should do a traveling show.
You think you might have to get up and run at 5 a.m. in the morning, or Nick's going to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, but no, he makes it nice. Yeah,
we make it enjoyable. So what was your initial expectations of Eugene? Did you know it was TrackTown USA?
I had no idea it was TrackTown USA. I thought it was more probably like Portland. I thought it was going to be a bigger place, I guess.
So
because I've kind of heard of Eugene, but I've never been. And I've been to Oregon before. And, I don't know.
It was a bigger city that you went to, right?
It feels like a bigger city.
Yeah. So Jarett and I we couldn't find a direct flight because I'd never been to TrackTown USA. I never even knew that the University of Oregon was, in a smaller town. But we were wondering, why can't we get a direct flight to the airport in Eugene?
I was like,
and it was kind of strange.
I was like, you're just being cheaper. Why are we flying all the way over here to get to Eugene, Oregon? I thought it was a popular place.
Yeah. So we land and we land into Eugene's very own international airport / bowling alley. Where it seemed like the family was ushering and taxiing in the planes and also handing out bowling shoes. So you could get a 2-for-1 deal, a game and a round trip flight to wherever it was that you were going. That's how small it felt.
I think it had 3 terminals or whatever, right?
Yeah, something like that. It was basically one terminal with a 360 around it. And I think it probably had one terminal with like 9 gates. That's being generous. I don't think
it had 9 gates.
It might have just only had 6.
It might have been less. I saw 3 or 4 gates.
Either way, you could barely hear the flight attendant's announcements over the bowling party, night bowling, and hitting strikes all day. So it was.
You could get through the whole airport in 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we leave the airport. And we're driving around and we're starting to realize, oh, wow, we came to a very small town. But as we get there, it's a Pacific Northwest town, heavy in the logging culture, heavy in the fishing culture. But a little culture that you didn't really know about was of an individual named Steve Prefontaine, right?
Yeah, I did not know.
So did you know that he was a big time runner, a big time Olympian. At one point held all the records from the 2K to the 10K race. He actually attended the University of Oregon and really helped put that place on the map, with also a little known brand that was starting towards the height of his career, which was short, by the way, and we'll talk about that later. But a little brand called Nike.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard of them. I don't know.
Yeah, Nike is they're kind of known.
Regional?
And what's that?
They're regional to the West Coast, or?
They honestly were never even a company.
Oh.
Yeah. What do they call him? This is when you know that Nike holds a stronghold in that town, is when they called him Uncle Phil. I forget who we talked to. Might have been our Uber driver on our way out.
Nike, right?
Yeah.
They all
Phil Knight.
Uncle Phil because
they call him Uncle Phil.
And anytime the college needs money, he said, they go to him.
They go to Uncle Phil. That says a lot.
Phil from
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Wow.
It's okay. I got you.
Right. Thank you.
I got my card still.
Yeah. You still. Mine when I went to Eugene.
Yeah, it was definitely a very liberal town. And I'm not saying that like by any means. It was just, very cool, artsy, different vibe from when we went to Texas, a very conservative place, right? So what did you initially notice about the running culture there, aside from us going to visit where we went to, and I'll talk about that later. But what surprised you the most about Eugene?
Well, I knew I was in a running town when we stopped and there was a sign that said TrackTown USA. And
we took a nice little picture right there.
Right there. And I don't know, you got a feeling, but I didn't see that many runners all over the place. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just once you start to learn the history, I guess.
Yeah. Right. It definitely didn't feel like it was in your face.
It was cool.
I can explain because I actually went out running in Prefontaine's trail called Pre's Trail, which was so cool. I read the little plaque, and it's like a mulch covered track. It's about a 4.5 mile loop. I ran from our Airbnb out there. Obviously after I had some smash burgers and a ton of Voodoo donuts in my system, and then went out for the run.
And tacos the day before.
Tacos, yeah. The moment we landed there, it was I was eating
French fries.
Yeah.
Fish.
Oh my gosh. Ish. Yeah. Fish, French fries, all that felt good. I almost killed Jarett again, getting him to break his diet, but you know. Yeah. I guess he survived. Maybe that is the goal of these trips, are to go there as a duo and come back solo.
See, that's why it's hard to travel with you, Nick. But you say things like that, and then it's like, we finally get somewhere, and then you say one of us might not be coming back.
If you have to keep up with the way I eat, what do you think about like the way I eat? when I go to places.
It's not when you go to places, it's everywhere you go. You literally had one healthy meal the other day, and then you're like, screw this. This feels wrong. I'm going to eat as unhealthy as I can the next day. I honestly think you would be one of the top runners in the United States if you ate the way that you were supposed to, which is never going to happen.
You might be right. I mean, I could be...
And this man's losing weight.
I'm losing weight and I'm eating terrible. I'm trying to be better at... I'm trying to be better at like what I put in my body, a little bit better, like proteins. I mean, obviously I started a whole electrolyte company saying read the ingredients, and here I am not reading the ingredients of the actual food I'm putting in my body, but we'll get there. It's a little bit at a time, right?
But I can tell you how good his electrolyte supplements must be if you're eating that bad and you still don't have to go to the bathroom. Like, how great are these supplements that you take?
You know, we've been hearing a lot of great feedback, and I really appreciate it to those out there who've just been reaching out and telling me like what a difference they feel when they try these electrolytes. You know, we're going to call this an in-show ad. You know, I won't take a break, but I will say this, right? If you haven't tried it yet, ostrich salt, electrolytes, 1,000 milligrams of sodium with ingredients that you actually can consume for long periods of time. Please, if you have an opportunity, go try this out. I mean, I knew it was going to work, but I've been blown away by the feedback that I've gotten at how well it actually does function over long periods of time in heat, in cold. I'm running a promo right now, $6 for a 6-pack sampler. Use Salty6 as the promo code on the website. You can go there, check it out, try it out for yourself. I love it. I stand by it. That's my ad.
The juice is broke, and I get a small portion of every single sale.
He is actually only getting royalties from the Juice Hat and YouTube royalties, which, man, I need to talk to somebody. The YouTube is not doing well. We're not. We need to rehire somebody else, man. I mean, I figured you wanted some royalties there. Speaking of royalties, right? Steve Prefontaine, do you realize...
Wait, what did you think? You're the runner. Did you get the feeling like you expected?
Yes, because it feels like
There's nothing else to do but run?
Foot heavy town, like catered for foot traffic, right? The sidewalks were well maintained. The turkeys were out, walking outside, and just
a video of these turkeys that just walk around freely.
Yeah, there's a video of the turkeys, the Eugene turkey. What is it called when you have a gang?
We didn't figure it out, but there's a gang. There was a gang of turkeys, and
there's a gang of turkeys out there.
They could tell that we weren't from there because when I held my phone up to them, one of them like squared off on me.
He got skittish.
No, it didn't get skittish. It looked like it was ready to attack. It was
he said, "Hey, what do you got in your hand, sir? Put it down."
Right. There's a lot of political stuff going on.
What did I get from it? It definitely felt like a running town, especially being out there. So Pre's Trail is a 4.5 mile loop. That is covered in mulch. And they said on the little plaque there, right? It said, it was made to mimic some of his Scandinavian, is it Scandinavian? I don't know. Oh my gosh, I have the picture. Maybe I didn't learn anything when I went there, but, it mimics some of these, Scandinavian, mimic some of these trails that he would run overseas when he was out there. And I can tell you right now, man, it felt so good to run on that mulch. It was like perfectly manicured. You could run around the whole city, the rivers. You were going in and out of these trees. Some of them had like these tree arches that covered up. You could see, University of Oregon, the field there where the football players play, and it's just this huge stadium. It was really cool. There was little houses on the river. A lot of people out there running. I saw a lot of students out there running, just going for a jog. So it definitely felt like, it was tailored for runners. There were some trails that I didn't have time to go see, and that's where Cameron Haynes is from, in that area. And there's like a Preesh Rock or Preesh Mountain, Prish Mountain. Oh my gosh, I didn't learn anything from there. I have bad short-term memory. But that one is like a 10-mile loop with a couple thousand feet of elevation gain. And they told me, hey, you got to go check out that place. It's such a cool run, such a cool vibe. So when we go back, when I go bury your body up on that trail, that is where I'm definitely going to go and try to get a run in over there. But there's a lot of races. It just feels very, very good. The other thing that's great about it is the weather, right? So it was cold when we were there, but that is definitely some running weather. Cloudy, a little bit of rain.
Are there a lot of good runners from there?
I mean, I think a lot of Olympic athletes, right? Come from there, but you're still seeing some of the better, elevation trained individuals coming from Colorado and Flagstaff.
Because perfect isn't good for running.
Exactly. Where, here I'm heat training in February. It's been super hot. And I do not do well in heat, but you kind of force yourself to do well over time. And but not having ADD, right? I think going back to the original point, Eugene definitely had a different vibe about it. You definitely got like you were running in nature without having to go far. So very green, very cool. It was good. Yeah. So I really liked it. It kind of has this aura, right? Built around Steve, and what he kind of stood for. And a lot of the things that he did was really look out for athletes first. And that's kind of what Ostrich wants to be, wants to look out for runners first. I don't want to price anybody out of this sport. I also want to give a platform for athletes to, have an opportunity to, maybe showcase what it would look like to be a sponsored athlete, right? Because what he fought for is for basically livable wages. I think, he wanted, if Americans wanted our athletes to bring home more golds, well, they needed, the companies who were making money off the backs of these individuals needed to invest more into the athletes themselves. I mean, this man was living in a trailer during his Olympic prep. I think he was eating terrible. His shoes were being handmade by his coach. And that's the guy who eventually ended up partnering up with Phil Knight, and they started creating the running shoe, like Nike track running shoe. And I think we looked into this a little bit more, right? He was like, their original purpose was, to provide athletes with the best gear that they could have so they could perform the best, right? But now we've seen over the years that it's changed from that, right? Profit first, pay as many athletes as you can, big athletes, right? Pay them so they can market for you, right? And we still kind of see that pretty prevalent in a lot of the ultra running space, right? In the big brands, they are paying only a select few of runners, but I still feel like the growth is on the backs of these more micro influencer runners, these other ones who are really solidifying their brand on everyday runs.
What were you telling me about the story? He took the Nike logo off the shoe originally?
Yeah. And I don't know how accurate it is, like in the movie with Jared Leto, where he played Steve Prefontaine. There's like the end before he has the track meet where he tries to rematch one of the big runners that he lost to in the Berlin Olympics. He's about to go out and do this run on this track meet, and his coach says, "Hey, I made you the shoe." And he goes, "Is it a split toe track shoe?" And there was none like that. And he said, "Yeah, but hold on, before you do this, let me put this on real quick." And he puts on something, and Steve says, "What is this?" He's like, "It's a Nike swoosh, and it means it's a Greek thing of victory and blah, blah, blah." And he goes, "It looks like advertisement to me." And he rips it off and then he just goes and runs in the shoe. Right. I thought that was cool. Like he didn't want to promote it right there. He just wanted what he wanted. And you've talked about this, right? What if we made a very high performing piece of gear that had no logos, right? So they could always wear that, and, showcase what it is without, the brand itself making money. It gave them an opportunity to promote themselves and kind of be a blank slate for sponsorship, right? We're still seeing this. We're still seeing the top ultra runners have day jobs. Maybe a small percentage, 0.5%, 1% are actually making a livable wage. And these guys are elites, right? But if we could widen the field or, bring more real runners into this, the people who are actually, there's so many non-elites that are using this gear because the elites use it. So maybe that's why they're only putting it in the hands of a couple people. But, I think we could widen the field. There's still a lot of people out there who probably would be better if they didn't have to have a day job. They're making a lot of money off the backs. So,
did Steve, was he able to get money before his passing, or like, how did he change?
This happened, and I think the month later he died at 24 years old. So it was, the hype growing up, breaking the NCAA records, making the Olympic run, losing in the Olympics, and then got home, they were trying to silence him and not allow him to be an amateur runner because he was so vocal about pay. So he put on his own track meet, right? Which is kind of what we're seeing now, right? We're seeing people put on their own races. A lot of elites putting on races or joining races or starting something. But at that time, the track committee or whatever, they stopped him. They said they'll pull his amateur status and he won't be able to complete in the Olympics. Right. So he went toe to toe with them and he called their bluff, and they said, if you run this track meet, we're going to pull your amateur card and you won't be able to run in the Olympics that following year, which is like in Canada or something, Montreal. I'm not sure. And he said, well, I'm going to run it anyway. I'm going to call their bluff. So he hosted an international track meet at the University of Oregon, Finnish team. My gosh, again, my memory is terrible. They came and they paid for them to fly over. They had discus, like a whole full track meet, where they collected points and they did everything and had the runners come through just before, they stopped this meet or started this meet and pulled his amateur card. The committee caved in and they said, we'll sanction this meet. And, they were able to have it. So I don't know exactly how long after that meet he passed away. In the movie, it looked like he passed away that night, after they held that meet, after they had a party.
Really? Mm.
Yeah. And, so he never really got to go to the next Olympics, do any more work with Nike.
Do you think he would be happy about the culture now?
It's hard to say. Probably not. I would assume that he would still see the disparity between how much they are making versus how much the athletes are actually getting paid. He probably still wouldn't like to see people having a day job and having to run at an elite level. They're bringing us entertainment. They're making documentaries. They're making shows, training plans, gear, nutrition, fueling, shoes, everything that they can off the backs of these single athletes. And there's still a small percentage that are having
it's really crazy the following that some of these guys have. And then they still have to have day jobs.
Yeah. We've talked about this before.
They wear these brands, and they're not even getting paid for a lot of them.
It's crazy, man. And the reason why a lot of them won't take sponsorship is because there's such strict policies on brands. When they do sign somebody as an ambassador, they say, oh, you can't have our logos mixed in with anybody else's logo. So basically, if you're going to take our sponsorship, you can only wear our stuff. And what are they getting? 40% discount. A discount, right? And you're getting all this media shared. I don't know how you address it. I mean, obviously there's so many more moving parts when you become a bigger corporation, like some of these, like Hoka, Nike, Adidas, Brooks, Asics, companies like that. They have bigger budgets, but they also have more people they need to pay, right? So what do? Do you pay the employees, or do you pay the people selling, or do you take a cut from your own profits? Obviously, from a business standpoint, nobody wants to take a cut from their profits, especially if they're still selling shoes, right? So it becomes kind of a question of ethics, right? Do you want to maximize profit? If you're publicly traded, well, you have your shareholders to keep in mind, right? There's so many decisions. I don't know, out of these major companies, which ones are privately owned. And I guess if you're privately owned is where I would say you have more of an ethical standard to hold and pay your athletes, pay people who run, because they are bringing back this. It's a community, right? It's much like why I ask people to purchase ostrich salt, because as I can bring more income to that, I can turn around and create more products that, I feel are missing in the space, right? Good quality fueling strategies, strategies that, include people with dietary restrictions or, issues, diseases like diabetes, something like that, right? We talked about how does somebody with diabetes run these long distances if all the stuff that they're getting is sugar based, right? It's always blown my mind. That'd be something else I would love to, break into and do more research on. But none of that stuff would be possible if I don't get the community support behind the one product I have, right? But yeah, I mean, it's crazy, right? I think.
Let me ask you, why was he so idolized if he never won? Like, why does everybody look up to him so much?
I believe he was so idolized because he kind of stood for bringing down systems, major systems. The way things, I mean, up until that point, track was such a, gate-kept sport, right? You did everything, to please the people who ran the track events, people who controlled everything that you did, right? While they made a bunch of money. And I think that he also had this look about him, right? He was kind of an underdog in the sense of how he looked physically. He was not built like other runners. He didn't run the traditional race. He always led and came out fast. But he was vocal, right? He was the rock star of his time. And I think at that time, Vietnam was heavy, right? So people were looking for civil rights reform. People were looking for reform all over, right? I think there is a quote or kind of like a metric in a book that I've been reading. It's taken me a while because I have ADD, but, it talks about the popularity in running is often correlated with major crises in certain areas, right? So I think in the 40s, we had World War II, and then we had people running these long races. People were just trying to escape. Then we saw another rise again during Vietnam around the Prefontaine area where people started running and it was popular. And then the most recent rise, actually, I take that back. Then we had 2001, 9/11 was another rise, and Badwater and these ultra endurance races got really popular again. So around that time, we saw another surge. Then we see COVID hit, and we're hit again. Now we see, the state of America.
When everybody's stressed out, they just start running, or what?
Yeah, and it's kind of like this outlet, right? So people are finding healing in running. I think they looked at him as, hope, a sense of hope, a sense of new flavor, a new type of vibe that somebody brought. People like that. He was fighting for equality within that sport, right? That athletes get paid their dues for the work that they're putting in. And I think that, he opened the doorway to a lot of athletes that we have in our modern day history. And still, I think at some point they're pretty underpaid. So he probably would not be happy with the current state. I think a lot of current athletes are still not happy. One thing that I thought was funny in the movie was Olympic Village there. They walked in and it was very terrible living conditions, mattresses on the floor, a bunch of people piled in one little room, all through these like big hotels. And we still see complaints about Olympic Village today. The living conditions is just crazy, which I understand. It's got to be something that's got to be able to be broken down very quickly after the end of the Olympics. So it has to be something that you can do there, but still kind of crazy that there's still a lot of money
problem today.
Yeah, same problems, different war, different same environment, different war, different cultural problems. This is only just speaking, from an American standpoint. You can only imagine another athlete from another part of the world, where a third world country.
Yeah.
Or maybe do they get treated better? That's their way out there.
I know in Japan, the runners get treated a lot better. I was reading that these actually sponsor runners in Japan to do their long distance running. And when they watch the events, they're actually huge events there.
Wow. Yeah.
So they get treated really well. It's like every company there, Toyota has runners that they sponsor. And
wow, Toyota. It's like a race car, but they're actually what? See,
but
this
they
is
sponsor their whole lifestyle, and you're actually an employee. You get health coverage. You get everything.
Man, yeah, we need something like this where not even just a running brand is sponsoring, putting in something to the betterment of. In the end, it's opening up a doorway for healing, for mental health, especially running as a sport, right? Mm-hmm. It's so beyond just the gear. It's something beyond and greater than the gear. It is a lifestyle. It is
up to a certain point.
What's that?
Up into a marathon, and then after that, it becomes useless and pointless. But no, I'm just...
Yeah, they're like, why are you taking a week off of work? Because I'm going to run for a week straight. No, you're not.
There, they don't have to work. I think they get to concentrate full time.
Wow.
I have to dig more into that article, but if you're one of the sponsored athletes or one of the top athletes, you're an employee, and your job is to run.
So my question to the listeners would be... knowing that athletes are so poorly compensated, is that what keeps you out of trying to attempt to be a runner? Is it just the ability itself, or is it something that doesn't interest you? If we knew that it was another outlet to a lucrative deal, would we see a lot more athletes? Would you join it? Would you be more inclined to run more if you felt companies took care of even the non-elite runners? And would elite runners be upset if the higher paid runner is actually an influencer who's not an elite runner, while they are getting a lower salary based off of, it's not a salary based off performance, right? It's more of a salary based off views and engagement, right? What is the true worth of a sponsorship, right? Is it your performance, or is it your ability to sell product?
Yeah.
That's...
Real quick, tell everybody why we went to Eugene in the first place, I guess.
Yeah, so that's a perfect segue to our next segment, actually. We went to Eugene to go visit one of our sponsors here on the podcast is Aletheia.
Nick has sponsors already.
2 sponsors right now. Aletheia Run. They are a running tech company based out of Eugene. And you might have seen my post about the running sensor that I have. We went to the running lab to just get a better idea of what the company is. And I honestly didn't go there expecting to get the full treatment, which was very cool. And the full treatment being a full running analysis out of their lab. There in Eugene.
You have perfect running form.
I still had things that I could work on, right? that was funny because we started the video and, we also had another coach there, a physical therapist, the Instagram channel Learn to Run, with Dr. Matt. He gave also his own, personal insight on his knowledge, for running and avoiding injury. It was a whole collaborative deal, but that is kind of why we went there. And I'll tell you what I really was surprised about that I didn't expect.
Did you have the most horrible hips in the running place?
I knew that because the sensor was already telling me that I had terrible hips.
That you cannot stretch your hips at all?
Dude, that was a painful segment. I'm curious to see what that video looks like. So
I got to send you.
Were you holding my leg down? Was that you?
No, that was the other. That was
Armando?
Armando.
Yeah, Armando had a
marketing. I would have pushed it all the way down.
I was put on a table by one of the creators of this product, and he put me on a table, and he wanted to test my range of motion in my hip flexors, my hip mobility function, right? So he had somebody, I brought my knee to my chest on one leg, had somebody sit and push down on that thing, and then while the other leg was hanging off the table, he pushed that down even more and measured the degrees of mobility of motion in there. And as he's pushing down, he says, "You want to be in a 20 to 21 degree range. You're in about at 18 to 19." And I'm like screaming, "Oh my God, I already know the sensor told me my hips are terrible. Why do we have to keep doing this?" That was one surprising aspect of it. It was pretty painful, but also eye-opening because I know that when I run and I look at these elite runners, and obviously they're going at a very fast pace, so they have these beautiful gazelle-like forms, and they're flowing and they're kicking, and their stride is, when I think of like perfect form, I think of Xavier Smith, right? When he has these pictures and he's just like gliding and going, right? But obviously that's not sustainable and not possible during a trail run because you have variations in terrain, and you also need to run for a very long time. So you need to be as efficient as you can. So that's what I learned, right? Is how can you be as efficient as possible with the best form and not really injure yourself? It was a very cool experience. And since then, I have been taking into account the suggestions that the app has given me, as well as suggestions that knowledge in that room. That was the one thing that surprised me, right? Was the knowledge in that room. I didn't realize, you have, PhD, physical therapists. You have, they're all professors, by the way, at the University of Oregon who came and brought this product together. You have physicists who took, their knowledge of physics and the world around and put it into a way to analyze data based off of form. It's just kind of a cool collective group of knowledge that has brought this.
The juice they're hating, saying
the juice was like
should run for 4 hours before putting him on the treadmill to test.
Yeah, the juice wanted me to be 50 miles in before we evaluated my form.
That was my only critique. I was just like, Nick has a perfect form, but he's a long distance runner. We don't know what he's really capable of or what his potential or what things he's doing wrong until we get to mile 50. That's when Nick really has to lock in.
Yeah. And a lot of this, getting that anatomy lesson of what muscles are connected to, muscles that you don't even think about, right? When running. Yes, we all know glutes, hip flexors, your hamstrings, your calves, all right, and even arms, right? But you don't realize that your obliques are really controlling or helping assist a lot of the other muscle activation. As I started to implement,
for people who don't know,
it is on the back. So like,
I didn't really know either.
As you're like, you probably work that out with rows, bent over rows, but he put me in a position where I was almost like mid-stride position and then pulling back on some weights. Because what you're doing is when you're pulling back, you're assisting that kick. So it would be your right arm pulling back, your right oblique, and your left leg is a kickback portion. So you have your glutes going up to the opposite side, which is the oblique, and that helps fire everything at once. It just becomes this mechanical drive. And that is like a way to get the most out of your stride with minimal effort. Obviously landing and, doing things a certain way, really all works together. And that's some of the knowledge that I really got out of it. And I think it's really cool to use that sensor, and we'll call this another in-show ad, right? I won't break for any ads today, but I will say if you're very interested in, having your own mobile running lab and mobile analysis, I highly recommend going to Aletheia.run. You can use RunScared10 for a promo code for 10% off. It is still a very affordable piece of device to have some sort of data insight and baseline of where you're sitting at. So go check it out, Aletheia.run. Use promo code RunScared10. So that's going to be all of our promo segments here as I watch my new dog chewing up a bunch of Kleenex right now. Whatever. We're going to continue on with this, and it is what it is. But yeah, so, being in that lab really changed the way I see training. I'm not a professional runner, but I do like tinkering with it, and I like really getting faster.
When do you become a professional runner? Like, how are you not a professional?
How am I not a professional? Jarett, from your analysis, how come I'm not a professional runner?
Do you have to get paid to be a professional runner? Is that like the qualification?
I mean, or is it wins? But I mean, there's professional runners not winning, right?
Yeah, I don't think you have to win. And what, like, you mean podium? Like top 3?
Well, that is the goal for this next race that I have coming up. KH races, O'Neill
and are
Park
you a professional if you do podium for like 2 races and then you start to fall off? Professional, man. I think gets paid. Maybe.
So here's my road to being a professional runner. I am going to try to podium 1 race of an ultra marathon. I am going to try and set an FKT, or a fastest known time, in 2027. And it's only because there is no FKT for the segment I'm planning to run. I'm not going to say it here because I haven't announced it publicly, so we cannot say it, but I would love to do it. The juice. So let me ask you this. If I start using a lot of science to really evaluate what I'm doing, right? Does it make me less crazy for these ultra distances? Because what if science does prove that we can do these long distances if we are doing it correctly?
Does it make you guys less crazy? I think it's crazy always to run 100. I don't think there's no amount of science that's going to make it make sense to me to run 100 miles. I think there has to be damage done when you run 100. I don't think anyone leaves 100, no matter how much science and how much training goes into it, and you didn't do damage to your body in one type of way. I can't wait until we get our doctor on here. Because I just read some new thing that I need to bring up in today's segment, that do you have a higher chance of getting butt cancer when you run long distances?
The medical term would be colon cancer, Juice. We're not 5-year-olds. If you get butt cancer, with that being said, if you're
butt cancer in the article, so that's
if you're over 40, this is your friendly reminder to go get your prostate examined, okay?
Especially
prostate
if you run
cancer is out there, and early detection is early prevention. Go get your butthole poked. It is not anything to be ashamed of. Just go get it done. We want to make sure that you're out there still running. With that being said, Juice,
I haven't juiced in a while.
What would it be causing, right? My theory, again, goes back to supplements and fueling. We are eating so much terrible stuff on these races. We are validating that candy and processed foods and all this stuff is okay while we do these long runs. Is that the link? Is of just an increase in processed foods and candy really adding to the colon cancer epidemic, right? The prostate cancer epidemic.
I feel like you guys still would eat less than the normal person.
No, man.
No, for sure you eat more than the normal person.
And we're eating sodium and sugar and glucose and just tons of it, right, to fuel us for these.
Another good one. I didn't even think about that. How I thought about it is because you guys are just you guys are running so much that you're like
friction causes cancer.
Well, it's just when you damage cells, right, and you have to rebuild constantly. So you're constantly rebuilding cells. That's when cancer happens, I guess. So you're constantly like damaging a certain area over and over and over again, and those cells have to rebuild. That's kind of where I guess cancer comes from. That.
That's very interesting.
Are there
also articles saying that running reduces the rate of cancer?
I would have thought it definitely reduces. I mean, they say when you work out, it's like the best thing to do for cancer and running. So,
and then he's just trying to push the narrative to his argument that a certain distance is the prime distance. Anything above a marathon is not necessary, right?
I still want to get a doctor on here too.
You know, why is it that I hear this going argument of it's bad for your knees, right? And I felt like at some point in my early running days that this was going to be true because I had a very tough time walking after certain runs, even I'm talking like the 10 to 12 mile runs, right? It wasn't until I started unlocking fueling and strength training, haven't had any, I'm going to knock on wood, any knee injuries, any serious knee injuries. My lower back, I feel pretty good. I feel like my running career
is at a peak.
Has been pretty injury free. I mean, I've had some where it hurt, but I wonder if that was like, again, lack of strength training, lack of fueling properly. Everything that felt like it was going to be a permanent injury healed itself after time. So
your knees don't hurt anymore after runs, huh?
My knees don't really ever hurt. My lower back doesn't really ever hurt unless I don't do my mobility. Shout out my coach, Melissa Henderson.
You have a good coach.
I have a great coach. Yeah, I feel like I've been pretty blessed in the injury aspect. I don't know if I am just a one-off, right? Or if what I'm doing is, you know, an ability for other people to replicate and avoid injury. I think it's, you know, I'm still trying to figure that out. But
another question. If there's no money in this sport, what are you chasing?
If there's no money in this sport, I'm not even, so I'm trying to podium, you said?
Yeah. Like, why do people try?
The personal challenge, right? I think it gives me an opportunity to feel like a kid again, competing for something, and still being able to win something. Most people, their days of winning a trophy are done.
I could put you up against one of my friends real quick, and we can have a little race, and then you could beat them if you want to feel like a kid again.
And you'll give me a trophy?
You'll podium, yeah. I'll bring you a trophy.
But I want a group of people that are out there
training as much as you,
trying to get better at a distance. But ultimately, in the training plan, something else is born out of it, right? A rewire. That's what I'm really chasing, is people to find this rewire of the brain, to find some sort of clarity, to make their normal everyday life much more manageable, and just to promote mental wellness as well as physical wellness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just to push the body and to know that we can still push the body even outside of being a high school athlete or a college athlete.
We need to do a whole episode about that.
About like just opportunity.
Runners that got you guys to where you are today.
Yeah, we could definitely do that. I didn't know
anything about him before we went there.
Yeah.
And how many other runners really paved the way?
Well, you know,
especially in the ultra running space.
Yeah.
Because it's so crazy. Now you have Instagram. Now there is a chance for sponsors, you know, maybe more. But when they were doing it, it amazes me that, because back then people didn't run for fun. Like there's a bigger community. I mean, people have always ran, of course, but it wasn't this big, huge thing. Like, it seems like to me, he's just out there probably running most of the time by himself. I think in one part of the movie, didn't they like his grandmother or somebody thought he was nuts. Like, who goes out and runs?
Yeah. That was his mother. She was like, I never knew why he just got up to run every morning, but now I know why.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what drove him when there was no money? The the conditions were crap. You're going to be in a trailer. Like,
I think the pure competition of putting yourself. So, and if you recall, at the time, the most popular distance was the mile distance.
Right.
The mile was the set standard, right? The mile was where you found out how athletic you were, because it wasn't a sprint. It was the long distance of it, right? Four laps around a track. You could see who's made of what. And they told him, like, you're a 3-mile runner. You're a 5K runner. And we looked at that as long distance, as a fast, for a track person, right? And those still really are ultra marathons of the track world, right? A 10K, oh my God, man, that race, the 10K race on a track is crazy, dude. Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, just you're sprinting now. You have to sprint for 6 miles. In order for you to even have a shot to even be considered an Olympic athlete, and running some crazy pace. I think we're always pushing, right? Humanity has always pushed, no matter what, whether you're a pro or you're just a normal runner, back of the pack, or we're always pushing. It's in our nature to push the limits, whether push the limits on the overall sport or push the limits within yourself. We need to push the limits. It's just part of our nature as a human being. What can I achieve now? What can I achieve next? How can I keep pushing this even further?
Is there an ultra in the Olympics?
So they do have 24-hour ultra teams, but obviously that's not popular. But there's people that run in some of these local ultra races that were part of that 24-hour race team. There is a race, but it is not televised. You probably won't really see it anywhere. It's just they send all of the national teams and they say run for 24 hours and see who can run the most amount of miles in the 24 hours.
Oh, all right. Okay.
So, which is pretty cool.
I never even heard of it.
Yeah. So it's the US 24-hour run team or something like that. But yeah, it's very cool. I mean, their ultras technically are in the Olympics.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're finishing more than 100 miles in that.
Dude, I think what was the let me see what the distance was. So in 2022, Lithuania's Alexander Sorokin set the 24-hour running world record by covering a staggering 198 miles.
Holy crap.
4 hours.
Holy crap. Are you serious?
And we're over here like looking at these little sprint guys. We're like, wow, that was so good. They're so fast for the dude. In the background, ultra running is still an oddball distance.
That guy almost finished 200 miles
in 24 hours.
And your goal is to get to what? 100 miles in 20 hours?
In 24 hours.
In 24 hours.
Yep.
That guy. I need to look at that guy when we get
honestly
off.
And this is on a flat course, right?
Oh yeah. So dang, I wonder how much you could do. I wonder how fast you would do on like a track.
They do have some track races, some like backyard ultras.
No, yeah, just
yeah.
I wonder how fast you could finish in 24 hours, and it's just a track.
Maybe we do that on our own.
We? Like, yeah,
out there all night long.
Cameras just to make sure you don't cheat, and then you go.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
You should do it one day.
Well, so the race that I'm looking to do this year in Arizona is 140 miles, and it's on the road. So there will be elevation.
100.
We said no more hundreds, but nobody said anything about 140s.
Yeah. We need to have a whole episode trying to get you to stop to do this. Like, we need to bring on family members and friends and everyone.
An intervention?
Yeah. We should have an intervention episode.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today's conversations. We're not going to talk anymore about this.
Maybe it'll stop other runners from going past 100.
Yeah.
You guys are just never going to stop.
No,
never
it's
going to
just
stop.
never. So, I mean, it's going to be crazy. So, closing thought, running history shows us athletes fought for our opportunity, right? Science shows us that we can run smarter. And maybe the real win isn't money or medals. It's just finding something hard that makes you better as a person. I think that is the purpose of all of this in the end. Take away profits, take away recognition, take away all this. When it goes down to the bare root of it all, we should be finding something that makes us better. And you know what? Week after week, the messages that you send us make us better. The listens that you do on this podcast make us better. The purchases of ostrich salt make us better.
I'm determined to stop 100 runners from running ultras this year. Call up the show.
I might make you a commercial that
call up the show,
like a Sarah McLachlan commercial. In the arms of...
Yeah, nice.
Every day, 240 people will run an ultra marathon,
and 10 of them will get butt cancer,
and 10 of them will have bunions. Please stop an ultra runner.
Way worse than bunions.
Way worse than bunions. And 10 of them will get butt cancer, according to Jarett.
No, that's not according to me. I just read that somewhere. Because I
read all things, butt cancer.
I read all things negative about ultras.
Thank you guys for supporting us week after week. We enjoy bringing you this show. Jarett is still on his mission to get you to stop running an ultra. So if you want to convince him how to or when to, or
even though I am
simply to run an ultra, you guys comment on any post that we make and convince the juice to run.
This whole culture, I'm starting to like it. I mean, I have ran a little bit more, but to get up to an ultra, I think that's insane. And this guy who ran 200
in 24 hours.
In 24 hours, he's just bat crazy.
Thank you guys for joining us week after week. We love you.
And remember, who are you without running?
Who are you? Are you okay?
Are you okay when you don't run?
That's a question. Hopefully you're listening to this while you run, so you don't have to answer that question.
Are you using running for health? That's maybe my next episode. Are you using running for health, or are you using it?
I think we've seen some recent big time runners going through some PTSD issues, and running had stopped helping them. So in the end, it is going to be a tool that's going to delay. But if there's still real work that needs to be done, it needs to be done, and get back to enjoying running.
Yeah. What happens when you become so good at running that it stops working for what you
cue that outro music? Yeah.
Bitch.
I forgot. It's been a while.
Who says you need to fly to reach the top? Keep beating your block till your feet are hot. Get your head out the sand, join the flock. It's okay to run scared, we enjoy it a lot. I'm an odd kid, like an ostrich. I got a pod, kids, here's a topic. Blaze your own trail, don't be cautious. 2 birds, 1 stone, tie rocket. Can't make an omelet without breaking a shell. But they say grew up, now I'm raising hell. Haters gonna hate, yeah, they praying you fail. So put in the work, whether pavement or trail. The grades fell down, but they got to the feet. Run your own race, put this pod on repeat. Shake your tail feather, keep nodding your beaks. Ostrich gang, or you're not my peeps. Who says you need to fly to reach the top?